Often when teachers take courses with me in materials writing, they write materials to use in their own classes with their own students. But then they ask me, well, how do I develop? What do I do next? And I always recommend that they share their materials with other teachers. So if they've written something like a worksheet they think works really well, they should hand it to another teacher, get them to teach with it, and then get feedback from that teacher. Sharing material in this way is a great way of developing yourself. It's also developing your writing skills in terms of teacher's notes and thinking about how you write instructions that other teachers can follow. Now, you can just do this sharing amongst the people you work with, or you could go more global and start sharing your materials online. And I'm going to interview a teacher who actually does this. She set up a great little blog called EFL Creative Ideas, and she regularly posts worksheets that she's made, which anybody can use, and people leave her feedback and give her comments. And she's been doing it for about a year, and over that time her materials writing skills have really improved.
I'm Silvina. I'm a teacher and a materials writer. Actually, these two concepts usually come together because as teachers, we design, create, adapt, transform, destroy, deconstruct materials. So that's what I do. I was born and raised in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, the capital city, but I've been living in Spain for almost 7 years now. But I've always written materials, and I always liked the concept of creating and having my own stuff.
I mean, in a minute, we're going to look at your blog that you've been designing worksheets for. But before we talk about the blog, in what ways have you shared your material with teachers? I mean, at what point do you think in your teaching career you started to say, hey, to another teacher, I've just used this, I've done this worksheet, do you want to try it out?
Well, actually, it was as soon as I started with my blog, because it was during the pandemic. I had my kid in 2018. I stopped teaching for 2 years. And with the pandemic, it was a great opportunity to go back to teaching, not full time because I can't. So as soon as I started teaching, I started producing materials. I wanted to share and get feedback, and that's what I did.
Okay, so here's your blog. A few technical questions. What platform did you use to set it up? Is it WordPress?
No, this is Wix, Wix.com, because I'm not really into technology. I'm pretty basic. So I decided, I knew there were two different platforms, either WordPress or this one that I came across while searching. And I saw it was pretty user-friendly because I chose the template, the one that you see there with the images. Right. And then I started uploading my materials.
What's amazing is the quantity. So we've got the general English, we've got the business English. So let's take a look at one of the lessons. We're just going to scroll down and we're going to click on a lesson called The Bystander, which I think you said this one's the most viewed, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think this one got the most views?
I think that the topic is pretty engaging because it's about bullying. And it's aimed at lower levels and above. So mixed ability classes can use it perfectly well. Okay. I made this one for a friend of mine from Spain who teaches at high school. And she was talking about the course book she uses and the topics she was covering. So yeah. By that time, she started listing all the topics. And I said, okay, the bystander is a topic that I've never heard before, the concept. So I looked for a video for teenagers that might suit teenagers, and it's almost 2 minutes. I don't know if it's a 2-minute video.
About 90 seconds. I watched it yesterday.
Yeah, it's super short, and the message is really good, and it's a powerful video on this.
So when somebody opens the page, they get this initial introductory screen. They see the topic, the level, the skills. There's a link to the video. You get a nice set of aims, the use of the target language, and then basically you get the worksheet as a PDF. So let's open it up. This is a video lesson. So what's your basic lesson structure here?
Well, I usually follow the same structure, either for watching for videos or texts or listening audios. It's before, while, and after. And then I sometimes include a focus on lexis and language, but not always. and then a follow-up task. So the before reading or watching section is about activating schema, prior knowledge, experience, predicting something from the text or the video. And then the while, that is where I usually try to look for variety, because I get bored myself when I do the same over and over. Yeah. So I guess students feel the same. And then I have, well, the while and the after. For the after watching, in this case, I ask for the purpose of the video, the stanza, the tone. So some critical thinking skills, you know, and reaction and opinion, students asking for reaction and opinion based on what they read or so.
And when you wrote this worksheet, did you tested it out on your own class? Did you give it to any other teachers before you put it on the blog?
Well, I gave it to this teacher, to Lucy, to the one that was about to use it with her students, and she really liked it, and she made good comments about it, about the sequence, about the kind of activities that included, because she's the one who knew about her group. So then after that, she told me that it was good, that they were really interested, and well, not too much, but it was good, generally speaking.
But as a result of her feedback, did you make many changes to the first draft?
Not in this one, but I got feedback from other teachers about other worksheets, and I made changes, not about this particular worksheet.
If you think about, I think the area of feedback from teachers about materials is interesting. What are the useful areas of feedback that you normally get from people?
Well, in general, as I share my materials on LinkedIn or on Facebook groups or on FreeEd, which is a teachers community, feedback is general. You know, from time to time, I get some messages, particular specific messages about the lesson plan and how it went. And for instance, once I got some feedback about rubrics, about how I wrote a particular instruction, that it was not clear. Students got really confused. They didn't know what I wanted them to do. So I rephrased it and I sent it back to the teacher, who kindly sent it to me. And she said that now it was better and I could do a better job. But yeah, sometimes what I think is not is not good, or it's not appropriate, or it's not clear enough for students or teachers, you know.
That's great. You're getting feedback from some people and you're acting on it, and then you're resending it to them. I mean, teachers couldn't wish for a better materials writing service, really.
Yeah. Then another kind of feedback that I got, which was really useful, was about the use of, if you see how my writing developed, at the beginning I used a lot of frames in the worksheets, a lot of colors, a lot of images for decoration. And then with the passing of time, I reminded that less is more. So I keep repeating that to myself, and I deleted everything. I mean, those worksheets look like that. I didn't change them because there are many with this kind of features. But then with the passing of time, I decided to use a blank page with margins, with white space, more accessible for any kind of learner. So images only for a purpose. So that is something that someone told me about printing. What if the teachers want to print your materials? That is not convenient with all the frames and colors and pictures. I mean, it's not user friendly. So I got that feedback and I changed the way I was doing the worksheets.
Yeah, there's another video I made with Emily Bryson about accessibility materials. She talks about color, and it reminds me of that and this thing when we first start writing our own materials, we throw lots of color in, we throw lots of images and icons, and we think it's great at first, and then we realize actually less is more. People want things in black and white because of printing reasons, and it makes our life easier in a way to get it back to, you know, simple format. And I mean, I think these, let's go back to the worksheet a second. I mean, what's striking is, you know, you've got just the eyes at the top. It's all black and white. It's mainly the same font throughout. And then, of course, you've got the images from the video, which they do the work. And of course, in a video lesson, it's really the video that's providing the visual stimulus anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's quite stripped back. I mean, you've kept it sort of quite sort of simple. There's not too much sort of design going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the numbering and the bold type for the instructions, that is also something I took from your course as well. And that made a transition.
Let's take a look at one other feature on your website. Okay, so we've got the teacher's notes here as Word documents. So we get the link again and the aims. Just tell us a little bit about the teacher's notes. What will a teacher actually find in your teacher's notes?
Well, I try to help teachers with the development of the lesson, basically giving them some extra ideas on how to use the materials, the answer keys, of course, possible answers, because some of the activities are open. So I include some possible or suggested answers, but and then some more language or lexical chunks there for them to give students in case they need them. Some suggestions. This one in particular doesn't have a lot of suggestions, but for fast finishers or for extra support, I try to include some tips from my experience, you know, for them to use for novice teachers, or so basically that.
If you reflect then on the last 12 months, if you think about the way in which your writing has developed, improved, if you like, you've talked about the design, the look of it, that's something that's developed. What other things do you think you've gained from the experience?
Well, apart from the design and the content, the variety of activities.
What about ideas? Because often people who do my materials writing course, they often say, where do ideas come from? And I often find that quite a hard question to answer.
Well, it depends. Sometimes my students, my private students, are my source of inspiration because they need to work on a topic. For example, I made a series on job interview questions for lower levels, for A2 above. You never find that on the internet. Everything is B2 above. So I wanted to adapt those questions to one of my students who has a pre-intermediate level. So that was my source of inspiration, my students. But then the starting point can be a resource, a video, an article that I come across LinkedIn or somewhere I'm reading, or a topic that I have in mind, and I start looking for the resource. You know, I talk to friends, anything that comes to mind, I try to turn it into a lesson plan. And I don't do research on the internet whether there is some existing material on that, because I know that everything we do is unique. So perhaps there is the same topic, you find the same topic, but it's not the same point of view, the same way.
How many hours a week do you think you're spending on it?
If it flows, it's like 3 hours and I have the whole sheet done. But sometimes I get stuck and I go back the next day. So 3-4 hours for a lesson plan, but I have a life. I promise I have a life.
What's next for the blog and for you in terms of writing? You're just keeping the blog going? Do you have other plans for it?
Well, the blog serves many purposes. The first one was my CPD, because I wanted to improve and learn, and getting feedback helps me do so. Then helping teachers save time, because planning and making materials is time consuming. And in Argentina, we have a phrase, taxi teachers, because English teachers or language teachers are usually, they go everywhere. They have 3-4 schools on the same day. That happened to me when I worked in company in Madrid, Barcelona. So I didn't have time for planning or making materials. So that is another aim, helping teachers. I want to continue helping teachers, of course. And then gaining visibility, because this is a portfolio. I mean, everything I do is there, and that can help me get some editors or publishing people attention. So probably that is what comes next. And I'm also working with Nick Pitti from Pitti Publications, with one of our guest writer series of lesson plans. We are working on that. And then with other colleagues, we have also a parallel project ongoing to publish something together and keep collaborating with teachers, because I had a collaboration with Amina from the Oxford course. I met her in the course and we made a whole series for Black History Month, which is now February in the US, but it was in October in the UK. So I like collaborating with teachers and publishing the materials there. So I want to take advantage of the blog for some potential job offers, but I also want to keep sharing my materials for free.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's great stuff. There's nothing quite like handing material to another teacher and getting that feedback. And if you can get feedback through the blog, that's a brilliant way of doing it.
And getting feedback from teachers worldwide, because it's not only teachers from Argentina or Spain, which are my two cultures, but also from teachers in Asia, in many countries. So this is the great thing about sharing from my blog to different platforms, because I use my blog as the base or the house of my worksheets, but then they are spread on social media, and I get great feedback from different cultures, because I want that.
And does that affect you when you're thinking about writing the material for the blog? Have you started, because initially you might be thinking, oh, here's a worksheet I'd use, or we'd use it in Spain, maybe in Argentina. Do you now think, oh, I wonder if this will work in Asia, for example?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I want to be sensitive about the topics I choose and the way I handle the material and the topic and everything. So yeah, I think about cultures, multiculturalism, and inclusiveness, of course.
Silvina, thank you very much for sharing your blog with us. It's great work. Take a look at it, everyone. Hope that was useful. Hope it gave you some ideas on how you might develop as a materials writer through sharing your materials. Don't forget to take a look at the other videos on my ELT Material Writers playlist, looking at other areas of materials writing.